And so before I introduce our next speaker, I guess it almost goes without saying in some ways, but I would like to just give an extended thank you to people that travel, in some cases some fairly long distances, not only to speak, but to watch. We have many people from as far away as Hope, and from up in Courtney, and all sorts of people that I've come to really enjoy working with and knowing. And I hope that many of you can stick around for the 420, and obviously there'll be some people coming back to our store. I've even gone a little bit farther this year. We're throwing an after party at the Sunset Room, a local after hours club. I have DJs lined up tonight. I know there'll be a different kind of crowd coming later on, but it's kind of a full day circus. For those that would like to join us in between, if you aren't a member of the club and can't visit, we have a few guests, so I can't invite everybody here back to my store. But we are also going to be eating supper later tonight at the Lotus Pond, if you can join us for that. So that's the day's events. And our next speaker, Tony Smith, is one of those who traveled here from Vancouver. And Tony has in fact gone out of his way. I'm not sure how far he's traveled in his work with me, but I can't say enough about the organization Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. I think this is the 5th year in a row, or maybe it's the 4th, but certainly we've had a representative from LEAP appear year after year. Last year we had Victoria Police Officer David Bratzer here. We've had border guards and Crown prosecutors from the United States. And so it's something that every perspective that we get from people that were trying to enforce this law is not only important and valid, but for those who join LEAP, either in retirement or in David's position, to come out and state their personal position on this is very commendable. It's really, the police department is much like an old boys club. And so to stand up in the way that Tony and David and others have done is very commendable, and I think speaks to the importance of this issue. The people that are in some ways paid to and have this as a profession for years, for them to come out and say that something is wrong, well, that to me says that I and many other people are in the right stream of thinking, because but at the same time, hearing the perspective of former and current law enforcement officers is something that I can't get enough of, especially when we're critical of this law, because the perspective is just so unique, and it really is helpful in arguing against prohibition to hear Tony's perspective. And for many of us, really, Tony's preaching to the converted. Tony's not only talking about legalizing cannabis, Tony's talking about legalizing all drugs for the safety of our communities.
Okay, I might tell you a few secrets. So if I tell you any secrets, please don't move, because I've been training as well. Okay, let me introduce myself. I'm a retired policeman from the Vancouver Police Department, where I served for 28 years. And much of that time was around, I'm sure you're all familiar with the downtown east side Vancouver Skid Road, the poorest postal code in Canada. Now, I represented a law enforcement against drug prohibition. We're worldwide organizations of police officers, current and retired, of justice personnel, judges, prosecutors. We've even got some members of the DEA. We've got 6 active or 6 retired police chiefs amongst our members. And until recently, we had a judge actually in West Vancouver, who unfortunately was Judge Jerry Paradise. Unfortunately, he passed away about a week ago. You often hear him on the radio on different debates. Now, we do not support drug use, and realize that in an ideal world we would probably be better off without any drugs. But as I say, in an ideal world. Now, it is very obvious that huge profits made in supplying drugs has made criminal organizations rich, powerful, and very violent. Drug-related murders are, in fact, in Vancouver, anywhere, and probably in Surrey, the majority of all murders today in the lower mainland and Victoria. There have been dozens of targeted killings in BC in these areas by gangsters seeking, and what are they seeking to do? They're seeking to increase their market share. They're a hostile takeover, if you like, except much more hostile than we see on Wall Street. Unfortunately, as we've seen, sometimes innocent bystanders are killed, as we've seen in Vancouver, in Toronto, and in many US cities. And unfortunately, these murders, these crimes, usually go unsolved, as credible witnesses are rarely found. I mean, if you see the Hells Angels doing a hit outside your place, are you going to be a witness of it? Yeah. Most people choose the easier route. Now, the addicts of those drugs themselves, and this is a thing we don't seem to be emphasizing very much, it's all gang-related, but this is, to me, was where I came into this movement. Create a wave of property crime. It's the property crime which is associated with drug use, which we've almost started to ignore. And the rate of addicts committing property crimes, theft from houses, thefts from buildings, thefts from your autos, the lowest I've ever heard it put is 70%. Some people in certain areas would say it was 90%. And so you have to ask yourself, wouldn't it be simpler to supply these addicts with their substances until they're ready to respond to treatment? Wouldn't that make much more sense than have them push all our insurance rates up due to the high numbers of property crimes? And saddest of all, we have a situation now where almost any drug is readily available, even to primary school children, in fact much more readily available than alcohol or tobacco. Any of the kids in school will tell you they can get drugs much more easily than they can get alcohol. Now, I joined the Vancouver Police Department, here come the secrets, in 1973. And the date of my joining is fairly important because a lot of you will have heard of the Ledane Committee. And in 1972, they had concluded that due to the high forces of enforcement and the relatively benign effects of marijuana, that there should be a gradual withdrawal of criminal sanctions, resulting eventually in legalization of marijuana. This was in 1972. And if we, in fact, look back, we can go all the way back to the British India Hemp Act of 1895. And they've all said exactly the same things, that marijuana isn't worth regulating. It shouldn't be regulated. We've had these reports coming out of all sorts of committees which have done major research, have interviewed all the medical know-how, have interviewed people about the problems created by these drugs, and it goes all the way back to 1895. Now, and another thing I will mention, I don't know how many of you have heard of the Gastown riot. Oh, you people? Well, for those of you who haven't, in 1971, we used to associate most of marijuana users with the hippie movement, and they went hand in hand. These were the Vietnam War protests. Well, they announced they were going to have a smoking in Gastown in Vancouver. Well, the mayor went crazy about that, and so the police were instructed to stand by and to break it up. Well, what happened was these people were all standing around smoking, and nothing happened. There was no riots, there were no bottles thrown, there were no windows broken, but the police got involved anyway. And they got the horse squad in there, and they charged through there, and they left no avenues for the people to retreat through. Because if you ever have a riot and you're moving into the squad,